Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, so today we're unpacking a really fascinating collision: human musicians versus artificial intelligence. We're going to be looking at some incredible insights from global music marketing executive Waylon Barnes. And what we're really trying to understand here is this epic battle between genuine human emotion and rapid data-driven technology. Honestly, it's a battle between the soul and the algorithm. And the stakes? Well, they literally couldn't be higher. Which immediately brings up a pretty profound question. Can we accept music from something that cannot feel? I mean, think about your absolute favorite song for just a second. When you listen to it, it probably transports you right back to a highly specific emotional moment in your life, right? The lyrics, the melodies, they resonate because you inherently know the artist who wrote them has lived, cried, fought, and experienced the world exactly like you have. It's this beautiful shared human bond. But as generative AI just completely explodes, we're facing a deep dilemma. Will listeners truly be able to connect with songs completely devoid of real lived experiences? Do we actually want to listen to something that's just mimicking a feeling it can never actually feel? All right, let's dive into part one: the AI music dilemma. It is the ultimate showdown of human versus machine. So, there's a really stark contrast here. On one side, you've got the human musician. When a human writes a song about, say, heartbreak or sorrow, they're tapping into a vulnerable, totally authentic internal experience. They're bleeding onto the page. But on the other side, we have AI. And AI doesn't feel sorrow. It has never, ever had its heart broken. Instead, it just relies on pattern matching. It analyzes millions of data points to spit out a sequence of notes and words that merely sounds like sorrow to our ears. It's kind of like the difference between actually standing in a freezing rainstorm and just reading a meteorological report about one. And this brings us to a rather harsh industry reality. Let's be real. Record labels are businesses, and a lot of them are already pivoting toward data-driven AI. Why? Well, because the output is cheaper, it's way faster, and it's highly analytical. AI can crank out tracks at a speed and cost that is just humanly impossible to match. Record labels are always hunting for their next big hit and trying to keep their quarters profitable. So this leaves traditional musicians feeling, understandably, incredibly overwhelmed. They're facing this massive tidal wave of synthetic competition that never needs to sleep, never goes on strike, and definitely never gets writer's block. Moving on to section 2, the dusty typewriter lesson. Basically, evolve or die. So the author of our source material shares this incredibly vivid anecdote from his time consulting for major global corporations. He worked with this brilliant, forward-thinking CEO. And picture this: in this CEO's pristine, ultra-modern office, there just sat this completely out of place, dusty old typewriter. And it wasn't there for like vintage aesthetics or because he liked the clackety-clack sound of the keys. No, it was kept right there on his desk as a stark, daily visual metaphor for business survival. And that brilliantly illustrates the lesson of the typewriter, which is quite simply evolve or die. I mean, think about it. Back when computers and word processors first hit the scene, do you think people complained? Oh, absolutely. People loved their typewriters, but complaining didn't stop the march of technology, right? The new way of writing was universally adopted. Adaptation is absolutely mandatory. Whether you're in corporate business or sitting in a music studio, just burying your head in the sand, that's not a viable strategy. Which leaves modern musicians with a really urgent dilemma right now. Should we sit around complaining about the new way, or simply get to work? We have to shift the narrative away from this paralyzing fear and pivot towards proactive action. The author notes that, look, while he doesn't want to see AI artists entirely take over the Billboard charts, he completely understands why the tech is so attractive. The answer isn't to boycott the future. The answer is to figure out a way to actively compete within it. Which brings us to section 3. AI as a creative tool, looking at it as a collaborative assistant. Think back for a second to when Cher and later T-Pain used Auto-Tune to get this entirely new aesthetic edge. It's such a fantastic historical comparison. When Auto-Tune first emerged, man, purists were outraged. They said it was cheated, that it would completely ruin real singing. But visionary artists didn't run from it. They leaned right into it. They used it to give their music a massive creative and productive advantage. They took what was meant to be a simple corrective tool and turned it into a whole new artistic genre. And you know what? We can, and honestly, we must, do the exact same thing with generative AI today. So how do we do that? Well, independent creators can actually harness AI to create rapid demo ideas, brainstorm complex lyrics, and achieve much faster sound production. The whole goal here is to use AI carefully and with clear purpose. Let it handle the heavy lifting of production speed. Because if you do that, it actually frees up the human artist to focus entirely on injecting their genuine human intelligence, form, and raw emotion into the final product. Basically, let the AI do the tedious work so the human can do the meaningful work. All right, moving into our final part, Section 4, the value of human curation. It's all about filtering the noise. In this wild new landscape, curation is going to become absolutely everything. The sheer speed of AI means it's going to produce way more music than human ears could ever possibly process. I mean, as the volume of content explodes to just unimaginable levels, finding authentic, human-made music is going to become incredibly difficult. Because of this, curation, which is basically the act of filtering out all that noise and recommending what's actually worth your time, is predicted to become the absolute most crucial job in an AI-saturated market. And why exactly is human curation so powerful? Simple. Because if someone trusted says, hey, this is good, listen to it, we listen. It all boils down to trust. Sure, algorithms can recommend songs based on cold, hard math, but audiences inherently trust other humans to carry on our musical and cultural traditions. When a trusted human friend, or a DJ, or a curator shares a piece of music and actually vouches for its emotional weight, we pay attention in a way that some algorithmic playlist simply cannot replicate. Ultimately, what this means is that authentic human vulnerability becomes a premium commodity. True human emotion, it is not going to be replaced by machines. Instead, what's going to happen is basic, functional background music will become super cheap and practically infinite. But authentic human struggle, vulnerability, and real storytelling, that is going to skyrocket in value. It's going to become this rare premium luxury in the market. The very thing that makes us human is exactly what will make our art totally invaluable. Which leaves us with a final, kind of provocative thought to chew on. In a sea of artificial tracks, how will you choose your next favorite song? Will you just let the algorithm feed you an endless loop of perfectly calculated, emotionless perfection? Or will you seek out the messy, vulnerable, beautiful truth of a human soul on a track? I really want you to question your own listening habits as we step into this wild new era. Because the future of music is already here, and it's totally up to us to decide what it sounds like. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, keep adapting, and I'll catch you on the next one.